There it goes. Okay, so how to avoid the errors you mentioned earlier. So how do you avoid taking trades early, taking trades late, and one other thing. So see, now I understand. Before you never said avoiding that stuff. You're gonna hate this answer. It's gonna sound like a Rick move. You can replace the R with a D if you want. I'm trying to keep this clean. It's gonna sound like a Rick move. But how do you avoid it? You follow your plan. You only do what's in your trading plan. I'm sorry, that answer, it sounds horrible. And you're probably sitting back like, well, I knew that, you a-hole. But there's no shortcut to it. It's shifting the mindset from profits over process to process over profits, right? Process over outcome. The process of taking quote unquote good trades has to be the most important thing. And in order to take good trades, it means following your rules 100%. So there has to be that dedication each and every time you open up a chart, each and every time you enter a trading day. It has to be a dedication that I'm only going to do what my trading plan says. Because I think we can all agree, and let me know. I don't know why my hand's in the air right now, but it is. I think we can all agree that entering late, entering early, moving stops, moving targets, that's all controllable, right? That's on us. We have complete control. I like to live under this philosophy, guys. Control what you can control. It was a funny story that my mentor, Jason Stapleton, told me a long time ago about he was in the military. And it was at the time where like the U.S. was going into this recession and they were over in Afghanistan somewhere. And, everything's on the news like, oh, the world's going to blow up. The U.S. is going to fail and blah, blah, blah. And everyone's panicking, right? Everyone's like, oh, man, like I'm away. What? My family's at home. What's this? And there was this one guy, right, out there just eating this big bowl of cereal, like a big old Sunday bowl of cereal, where you put it in the biggest bowl you can find. The bowl that's used to kind of like mix like ground beef and whatnot when you're making meatballs. A big old cereal bowl. And he's eating it just like, and Jason's all, he's in the politics and economics and all that stuff. So he's like, hey, what do you think the effect of this is going to be? Like, how are we going to handle this situation? How are we going to weather this storm? And the guy's just like, he puts down his spoon, clank, like in an annoying type of fashion, where he's like, really, man, like you're going to mess up my meal? He puts his paper to the side. He's like, look, man, I don't care. He's like, what do you mean you don't care? This is our government. This is our economy. This is our livelihood. He's like, you know what, man? I said, I'm a winner. And you know what winners do? Say it with me. What do winners do? Winners win. Winners win. No matter what the situation, winners win. And it was a cool story because can you control any of this stuff that's going on? Can you control recessions? Can you control presidents being elected? Maybe some control, you can do your part, but you don't have a big control over it. Can you control deciding to Brexit but not having a plan on how to Brexit? I had to take a jab there, right? You can't control any of that stuff. Maybe you have small control, but you don't have complete control over it. All you can control is your actions. All you can control is your actions. So I live by this philosophy, control what you can control. And we can't control whether an individual trade wins or loses. I can take a cipher on silver right now. I have no control over it wins or it loses. But the one thing I can control is how I handle the trade. I can control entering it the right way. I can control putting stops at the right place. I can control where my targets go. I can control my action while the trade is in progress, right? I can control whether I enter late. I can control whether I move stops back, whether I take targets early. I can control all that stuff. So the way to stop doing that stuff is to stop doing that stuff. There's no shortcut. There's no process. There's no group therapy where you sit and you hum. Just stop doing it. Just stop doing it. Now, I would say this. If you're a habitual mistake maker, it's just like any other type of bad habit. It's like, smoking or drinking too much or eating the bad things, right? Cold turkey is typically not going to work. Our brains, for some people it does. For very strong-willed people it works. But for most people, doing something cold turkey doesn't work. Cold turkey means you just stop right away. Where it's like, hey, I'm cutting all sugar out my diet starting today. My business partner did that, John Bomberger, the one from the podcast interview where he got 5 kids, quit his job, and said, hey, I'm going to figure it out. Right? He did that. I'm not that strong-willed. I will relapse at some point, and you'll hear about me in the news breaking into a tasty cake factory and just eating everything. Right? But you can wean yourself off of it. So something I did in my trading career was I started measuring my mistakes. And I would count them. I would go back through my historical trading. I would say, okay, I made 30 mistakes in the last month. Seems like a lot, but it was pretty realistic. You can make multiple mistakes per trade. Right? And I said, you know what? In January, sorry about that. In January, I'm gonna make one less mistake. I'm gonna make 29. 29 or under is the goal, right? Achievable goal, would you guys say? 29, yeah. And then let's say in January I did better than expected. I did 25. Okay. That's a win. I take my win, pat myself on the back. I'm moving in the right direction. I'm still making mistakes, but I'm getting better. And you make that the game. And that's a process-based game. Do you guys agree? It's a process-based game. You're no longer playing the game where it's how much money can I make, right? You're playing the game where how many mistakes can I avoid? And that becomes the most important thing in your trading. Process over outcome. Process over profits. And you keep working on that. The next month you make 5 less, 20. Then you make 10 less, right? And then you're down to 10 mistakes. And before you know it, you're down to 5 mistakes. Before you know it, you're barely making any mistakes at all. And bada boom, bada bing, you did it. But at the forefront of everything, it takes consciously making a deliberate effort to change it. And it means admitting to yourself that, hey, I am making these mistakes. There's no shortcut fix for it, but I need to deliberately dive in, right? Conversion by immersion. I need to deliberately dive in and start handling this problem. I need to reach in, right? Imagine this problem being like a cancer. I need to reach in. I need to start yanking it out. And hopefully, during that process, again, your mindset shifts. Hopefully, once you see the power of doing that and how it affects your trading, you start to really believe that, man, this whole process, follow your plan thing, take good trade thing, it does work. It's not just mumble jumble that this trading coach is saying. It does work. And then once you start to believe that, right, you're on a whole nother level. A whole nother level. Because when you truly believe in something, you become unstoppable. We talked about being stubborn earlier, right? When you're truly stubborn about something you believe in, you become unstoppable because can't nobody tell you nothing. And that could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. And in this case, you hope it's a good thing. So does that help at all? Perfect. But there's no shortcut. I wish there was. It really comes down to just doing it. You gotta decide. You gotta look in the mirror and decide and say, hey, I need to stop.